Welcome to the 5th edition of the Athens Roundtable on AI and the Rule of Law, this year in Washington, D.C., now a key center for AI policy, following last year's edition at the European Parliament in Brussels, pertinent during the AI Act, previously an online dialogue during the pandemic, and the first edition in Athens, Greece, the birthplace of democratic institutions. I'm Yolanda Lannquist, Director, Global AI Governance at the Future Society, an independent nonprofit with the mission to align AI through better governance. This event is live streamed. We've had hundreds of people online yesterday. We give a very warm welcome to our online audience, especially the queen of this event, Nikki Iliadis from the Future Society. We thank our co-hosts, IISTP at George Washington University, NIST NSF Institute for Trustworthy AI in Law and Society, UNESCO, OECD, World Bank, IEEE, the Center for AI and Digital Policy, Homo Digitalis, and the Embassy of Greece in Washington, D.C., which our event is under the aegis of. We also thank continued support from the Patrick J. McGovern Foundation, driving key discussions in global governance and supporting our independence. Also, our supporting organizations taking leadership on legal aspects of AI, Paul Weiss, LLP, and Arnold and Porter. Please continue to engage with us online at #AIAthens2023. And I believe we're ready to get started with opening remarks. It's my warm welcome to invite Dr. Pamela Norris, Vice Provost for Research at George Washington University.
Good morning. On behalf of the George Washington University, I want to welcome you all to the second day of the Athens Roundtable. I want to share my excitement that GW is hosting this important and timely conversation. We all understand that AI systems have great potential to increase productivity and to spur innovation. AI will touch every aspect of our lives, but in our haste to realize these gains, conversations like this are critical. To consider the questions of governance and the guardrails that may be necessary. We owe this to the next generation. GW is not only convening these conversations, but shaping them, especially as it pertains to the impacts of AI on society and trustworthy AI systems. This was a natural fit for GW. It grew out of our historic strengths in law, policy, and international affairs, our subject matter expertise in engineering and computer science, our broad community of scholars in the humanities and social sciences, and our proximity to the policymakers that are seeking advice, proposing rules, and drafting legislation. In a welcome remarks yesterday, President Ellen Granberg highlighted the Institute for Trustworthy AI in Law and Society, our TRAILS. TRAILS is a $20 million initiative funded by the National Science Foundation and co-led by GW, the University of Maryland, and Morgan State University. We are so proud to be a part of this project. TRAILS is leading initiatives to promote trust and mitigate risk while simultaneously empowering and educating the public. You'll get to meet GW's lead investigator for TRAILS, David Brunigotowski, this morning, as he will moderate your panel on definitions, metrics, and evaluation of advanced AI systems. Another TRAILS collaborator, Susan Aronson, moderated yesterday's panel on responsible AI development from an international perspective. And later today, you'll hear from Dr. Rebecca Trumbull in the panel on the impact of generative AI on elections. Trumbull directs GW's Institute for Data, Democracy, and Politics, which helps the public, journalists, and policymakers understand digital media's influence on public dialogue and opinion. IDDP supports rigorous, evidence-based research that informs policy and advances democratic values. Trails and IDDP are just two of GW's cross-cutting disciplinary institutes that are addressing the impacts of emerging technologies in society. GW is also a part of the Public Interest Technology University Network, a partnership that is dedicated to growing a new interdisciplinary field of public technology. This partnership, which includes more than 60 academic institutions, aims to place people, especially the most vulnerable or marginalized, at the center of technology development. Multiple GW-led projects under the Pitt UN umbrella are advancing relevant conversations, including the Ethical Tech Initiative that works across campus but is led by GW law faculty. One of these law professors has also spearheaded an online searchable database of AI legislation to help lawyers, scholars, journalists, and others stay informed about emerging legal questions in the field. This year, GW funded a university-wide seminar series on AI and the humanities, a cross-disciplinary exploration of AI's impact centered on the contributions that humanists can make as society grapples with this technology. GW is also home to an NSF-funded research traineeship program in designing trustworthy AI systems. This program leverages faculty from engineering and computer science who support PhD students, and they have developed a graduate certificate program for mid-career professionals. They also host boot camps and seminars for the entire GW community. These are just a few examples of the impactful efforts underway at GW. I also want to flag another opportunity to continue today's conversation. Next week, GW will host a conference on data governance in the age of generative AI. This is free and open to the public. Anyone interested in discussing the data that is used to build generative AI systems might be interested in attending. Information is on the university calendar with more details if you want to learn more. We know we can't address these huge questions alone, however. We are actively seeking ways to engage other academics as well as policymakers and practitioners. So, in that spirit, I want to extend an invitation to all of you and the organizations that you represent to join us. Whatever your focus is within artificial intelligence and the AI governance arena, there is likely a member of the GW community that is eager to share their expertise and to collaborate with you. Please contact me directly if I can help facilitate any of those connections for you. So thank you again for convening at GW, and we hope you have a great day. Welcome.
International organizations are key for ensuring a coherent AI governance framework globally. So we're very excited to kick off the next set of opening remarks with Audrey Plonk, Head of Division, Digital Economy Policy at the OECD.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for the kind introduction, and welcome to the second day of the 5th edition of the Athens Roundtable on AI and the Rule of Law. My name is Audrey Plonk. I'm the head of the Digital Economy Policy Division at the OECD, and I'm really honored to open the second day alongside counterparts from other institutions co-hosting the events. I regret that competing commitments have prevented me from being with you in person, particularly as you're convening at my alma mater, as I would have really loved to be there and take part in the enriching discussions at the roundtable. But at least I can use the technology to share some reflections with you here today. So the OECD has been proud to collaborate with the Athens Roundtable since its inception, from the first edition in 2019, where we presented the OECD AI principles. At the time, they had just been adopted here at the OECD, and we were perhaps a little bit unknowingly embarking on quite a journey. The international space in AI has grown more and more crowded every year. And even earlier today, we were participating in the G7 ministerial meeting on the Hiroshima AI process, which we helped inform over the course of the past year. And last month, we were at the UK AI Safety Summit, as well as hosting our own meetings of our AI Governance Working Party and our multi-stakeholder network of AI experts, in which many participating in the Athens Roundtable take part. So even with this growing number of events, the Athens Roundtable remains a stable, international and diverse multi-stakeholder dialogue on key issues in AI governance that's really critical. So I want to commend the organizers and thank you all for partnering with us. As many discussions have suggested, and with recent technological advancements, AI safety has evolved from a technical niche to a priority issue, raising questions on whether powerful or so-called advanced or frontier AI systems require international governance and what form this governance should take. This is often analogized to models like CERN or to the IAEA or to the IPCC, as was mentioned by many of the panelists during yesterday's sessions. But regardless of the form it may take in the future, international norms remain crucial to promote AI systems that are safe, robust, and secure, and that respect human rights and the rule of law. The OECD AI principles continue to provide a foundation as we build toward new norms of the future. But with technology and policy developments, and as AI becomes more widespread, complementary work is needed. For example, at the OECD, we're working to develop responsible business conduct guidelines for AI that would provide flexible but enforceable mechanisms to reduce uncertainty for AI companies operating internationally while addressing AI-related harms and disputes through mediation and reconciliation. In parallel, the OECD is also renowned for its evidence base, and a key achievement of the last weeks is the launch of the OECD AI Incidence Monitor. It's a new tool to help better understand the risks of AI and to inform policymaking, which Yolanda of our AI unit, who is there with you in Washington, presented to many of you yesterday during a closed session. The monitor looks at news from reputable outlets from around the world in real time to find reports about AI incidents and classifies them into different severity levels. Timely, accurate, and interoperable incident reporting at the international level is essential to understand and manage risks and to realize opportunities of AI systems. The monitor for us, and hopefully for you, is an important step forward in informing AI policy and identifying high-risk AI systems, as well as advancing the development of a common AI incidents reporting framework where all companies and countries can report incidents in the same way. I invite you to experiment with it, play with it, check it out, as well as the rest of the OECD's indicators and data infrastructure that ranges from national AI strategies and policies to information on jobs, skills, patents, research. This can all be found at oecd.ai. And so again, I'm very sorry not to be with you, but I wish you all a very productive day, and I look forward to partnering with the Athens Roundtable in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. We next have Cédric Wachholz, Chief of Section, Digital Innovation and Transformation, UNESCO.
Thank you, Yolanda. Good morning, everybody. Whoops. UNESCO is thrilled to once again collaborate closely with the Athens Roundtable on AI and the Rule of Law, the 5th edition. A heartfelt thank you to the Future Society for this invaluable partnership, to Nico and the entire team. Yesterday was a very fruitful day of dialogues, but also a wonderful reception in the evening. Thank you for that too. Over the last month, UNESCO conducted a survey among its network of 35,000 judicial operators about generative AI and its role in the judiciary. Responses from about 100 countries show that generative AI systems use have accelerated, the pace of adoption of AI in legal system across the world has increased dramatically. After hearing Audrey's insight, we must really think about the question, how can we boost access to justice, uphold human rights and democratic values, and that both through and despite of AI. Not so long ago, many were optimistic about regulation, with calls from major IT companies to go beyond self-regulation, the establishment, as Audrey just mentioned, of the OECD principles, the AI ethics recommendation of UNESCO, various national legislation, and with the ongoing work of the European AI Act and the Convention of the Council of Europe work. It seemed we were all converging towards a multidimensional ethical AI regulation, many explicitly based and referring to human rights. The recent developments, including the latest saga around CEO Sam Altman's brief departure and return to OpenAI, put, however, some of these beliefs into questions. Foremost is a contrast between the private sector's rapid AI advancements and the slower pace of civil society and the three branches of government, the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. Across different interventions yesterday, we discussed how governments are facing a three-dimensional dilemma. First, every country has the ambition to foster an innovation-friendly, competitive policy and legal environment, and simultaneously building clear and effective guardrails, even though Gary highlighted yesterday that that doesn't need to be in opposition necessarily. All this is done while thirdly keeping up with a seemingly always accelerating pace of AI advancement. And these dilemmas, they translate for the judiciary into three challenges. First, of course, is staying abreast of the evolving opportunities for AI in the judiciary. And I think we haven't spoken enough about how AI can aid in making informed decisions, can enhance efficiency, expand access, and contribute to crime detection and prevention. And more opportunities seem to arise every week. The second challenge is, of course, for the judiciary to ensure legal, appropriate, and ethical uses of AI also within the judiciary. As mentioned earlier, UNESCO undertook a survey, and we will at 1 o'clock speak more about it. Come back to after lunch to not miss, it will be only the introduction, the survey outputs. So you will learn about that more. The third challenge is the concrete AI case law. And let's start with this last point and some good news. Recent legal cases have demonstrated the judiciary's capacity to use international human rights law, constitutional safeguards, but also data protection laws against biased AI systems. For example, in Brazil, the Brazilian Institute for Consumer Protection challenged the use of smart billboards that claim to anticipate the emotion, the age, the gender, and of metro riders to provide them with better advertisement. The courts fined the metro line for violating the privacy of the metro users. In Italy, the Italian Data Protection Authority fined a food delivery application for using discriminatory automated decision-making systems against its delivery personnel and was failing to meet the appropriate standard for transparency and privacy. UNESCO is discussing case laws in its trainings, and this is important to ensure that judges can play their vital role effectively, even though specific AI regulation might not yet exist in the country. UNESCO responds to capacity building needs and requests also on a second important level. We do enhance the knowledge and the understanding of judicial operators about how AI systems work. And it is important that they do not become AI experts, but they do know and understand the risks of biased data, of black boxes, the challenges of transparency and accountability, and also the human-in-the-loop principle, to name a few. In a context marked often by high caseloads and lack of adequate resources in the judiciary, it is important for judges to understand why we should really not just delegate judicial decisions to technological systems. This seems obvious, but at the same time, AI systems seem often they are being perceived as being more objective, better informed through data, through facts, than humans, for example, for delivering parole decisions. This can jeopardize, however, the right to a fair trial. Judges should not be a mere appliers of algorithm, obviously, but also be in the position to be their critical evaluators and make independent decisions. How do we address these challenges and build capacities? UNESCO's Judges Initiative has trained over 35,000 judicial operators from 160 countries in the last decade, particularly on freedom of expression. But the requests for AI training are ever growing. It was actually in 2020 at the Athens Roundtable where we launched our AI and the Rule of Law program. And we have now already built the capacities of over 5,900 judicial operators from 141 countries. We do this through different formats. UNESCO developed a MOOC in partnership with the Future Society, with the National Judicial College, with IEEE, and also with Cédric.br. And there we cover AI-related case law and also AI adoption in justice system. We are also excited, as a second point, about a new global, it's an interim toolkit on AI and the rule of law. It is already accessible and available online in English and in Spanish, and soon in French. And we're pilot testing it just 2 weeks ago with 18 countries in Costa Rica at the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. Additionally, I mentioned it, we have conducted a survey on generative AI in the judiciary, but this is to inform upcoming guidelines on generative AI uses for the judiciary, which will be coming next year, and we will consult all of you too. So we invite you all to join hands in transforming our discussions into impactful actions. Let's unite to shape a future where AI empowers justice, not undermines it. All of us know that it takes major collaborative efforts to shape today the foundations for a more just and equitable digital society. Thank you.
Next up, we have Margot Skarpeteig, Head of Human Rights, Inclusion, and Empowerment Trust Fund at the World Bank. Welcome, Margot.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the second day from me too. It's so nice to be here. I would like to thank the Future Society for inviting the World Bank to co-host this edition of the Athens Roundtable. We really value the collaboration that we have with you. As most of you know, this year marks the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And this week, we hosted an event at the World Bank to commemorate that important milestone. But this past year has also witnessed great technological advances. But the promise of AI as a motor of positive change can also be overshadowed by threats to human dignity and human agency. The World Bank, as a rule of law institution, is conscious of the role that respect for human rights plays on the global digital marketplace and vice versa, how the digital marketplace can impact human rights. The Human Rights Trust Fund supports work by World Bank staff to raise the understanding of the nexus of human rights and development in our operations and analytics. And over the past few years, we have proudly funded 2 activities relevant to the discussion here today. The first one maps how the 30 articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights are or could be applied in the internet age. The second supports the development of a framework for the bank to identify and mitigate human rights risks of AI component in our operations. The objective is not to solve the overall problem of AI, of course, It's much more modest. It aims at understanding how we must address the problem within the context of our mandate and business model, and we have looked into what rights might be affected by different kinds of AI and have tried to identify existing and emerging ethical legal frameworks and approaches that can help us. We are now about to enter into our consultation phase of these findings, and we are already working with many of you, including the Future Society, the OECD, UNESCO, the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, the UN Tech Envoy, and others. And we are really grateful for this collaboration. These partnerships are so important to ensure that AI systems improve the welfare and well-being of people across the globe. We hope that we can continue to call upon the good offices of your organizations as we continue this journey, to learn from each other and build together a better and more secure future. Thank you.